right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm here. I think what I was thinking when you walked in, I was like, we should name the title of this two extremely large men in one very, very small room. I think the length in here, the wingspan, I would venture to guess that this is probably like a record for the largest cumulative height of any two podcasters about mental health. Do you think that might be the case?
I would say, yeah, the combination of our, height together and the square footage of this room would be an interesting statistic.
But I think it's going to be good. I think as much room as we're taking, we kind of have a lot of stuff to say. So I think it's going to be good. And I appreciate Ryan coming out here. I'm going to start this. I'm going to tell us two stories. One of them
Okay.
One of them Ryan doesn't know. So the first one I'm going to do is the one Ryan doesn't know. And it has to do with his former coach, Coach Tom McCormick. So Coach McCormick was a legend at Conant, for those of you who don't know. He was there for 30-plus years. And he coached Ryan for his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. But he was retiring. And I was at St. Lawrence High School, and he called me up. And I think I had asked him a question about some type of thing you guys were doing. I saw you play somewhere, and I asked him a question. So he called me up. And after the conversation, he was like, "Hey, Jim, I think I'm retiring at the end of the year. I think you got to come to Conant." And I was like, I loved St. Lawrence. I loved it so much. I loved all the people there, players, the community, that whole thing. So I was like, nah, I think I'm good here. And he was like, well, you're going to double your pay. And I was like, well, I think I'm still good. And later on that year, it was after your junior season, he called me up again. And he put the hard sell on me. And one of the things that he said really stuck with me. He was like, listen, you're going to double your pay. That's going to be one thing. But then he goes, our best player is coming back. And he said, this is what he said. He goes, Jim, you might recognize this term. He's like, I've dealt with a lot of good players who were birds, is what he said. Yeah, and he goes, Ryan Davis is one of the best kids around. He's very coachable. You will love coaching him. And I feel like that got me over the edge, because I was like, I don't want to go somewhere where this guy who's getting recruited by people is like a prima donna. I've dealt with that before, and it's not fun. He also mentioned how your parents were very good. He's like, they don't say a word. They just sit there and watch. And I was like, okay, I got to go. So I ended up making the move, and I'm glad I did, because I got to coach you. So I got to say, we would not be here if it wasn't for Coach McCormick getting me over there. And I think he had your best interest at heart. There was nobody that was going to replace him. He was a way better coach than me, but I think he had in mind, knowing who I was and my history as a player and how I had been through the recruiting process that you were going through. I think he was kind of I think you would be a good fit. He really had your best interest at heart, which I thought was really cool. And it was one of the reasons why I actually made the jump over there. Did I ever tell you that?
No, but I believe from just knowing who Coach McCormick is, and he really toes that line of balancing that old school coaching when we're on the court. But, after every practice, he was the one sweeping up the floors, or before practice, sweeping up the floors, making sure they were clean for the school or for practice, whatever that is. So just a testament of who he was, really getting to know me. Obviously, at the time, I was very quiet within myself. But, I think he always had the best interest for every player that he had there. Yeah,
for sure. And I think the one thing, too, is, it was tough for me going into that situation. That's following a legend, and it was tough. Yeah. But you guys made it pretty easy, because you guys were all coachable. I think he had trained you all pretty well, and you were good, so that helped, obviously. But that was the first story I wanted to tell you. The second story, I think you know this one. You might not remember it, but Ryan Davis was the greatest player that I ever coached, and Sorry, Chris Carley at St. Lawrence. You're a close second, but Ryan Davis is the greatest player. And sorry, Chris, it's not close. But like, I remember, like, obviously I remember like the dunks, the double doubles, the all-state. I remember one play in particular, and I don't know if you'll remember this. We're playing Schaumburg at Schaumburg, and you were like 17 feet away from the basket. Mm-hmm. And you turned and shot like a lefty hook shot. And I was like, what is he doing? And like, it went nothing but net. And I remember Wade Heisler, the coach of Schaumburg, he just looked over and he's like, what the? And I was like, sorry, I don't know what you want me to do. But like, I remember all that, and that's great. But I remember our worst moment together the best. Okay. And I don't know if you remember this. We'll see. I didn't really yell at you. It was hard to yell at you because it's like, well, what am I going to say? Like, dominate more, like score 40 instead of 30. Like, it wasn't a lot to yell at you. One of the things I used to get on you about was not covering the corner in our 1-2-2 zone, not getting out there quick enough.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad was always a big believer in rest. My dad was my assistant coach, and I wasn't that big of a believer. Like, I thought you could just play, but he was like, I think Ryan's tired. And so we took you out of the game. And like, you were coming by me and you said something like, I'm fine. And then you like said something under your breath. Yeah. And like, I went absolutely berserk on you, like in front of everybody, in front of the crowd. And like, you quickly like just were like, okay, and sat down. And like, I had forgotten about it. And, you know, obviously I put you back in because we needed you in there. And that was like a rare time. But I remember after the game, I remember, you know, we had won the game and we were given a post-game little speech. And at the end, you really quiet Ryan Davis raised your hand and said, Coach, can I say something? I think you might have even walked to the front of the team. And you said something like, you know, guys, like, that's on me. Coach has every right to like take me out of the game. I can't say anything to him. I should have just put my head down and walked to the bench and sat down. And you like apologized to me in front of the team. Do you remember this?
Vaguely.
Okay, vaguely.
Yeah.
I see. That was a moment I remember, and it's like, it's kind of like the Ryan Davis that I want people to know right now. Mm-hmm. Like, you could have been a bird, as Coach McCormick would have said. But, you know, you were a great player, but then you also had like a good sense about you, and you were well-spoken. You were quiet, but like, I know you were like a thinker, and it reminded me of myself. Like, I was a thinker, and like, I was careful with my words, but when I said them, I think they meant something. Yeah. And that's kind of what I want to get people to know about you right now. Yeah. That's the Ryan Day. And I know I talked for a long time, but I wanted to get that out there. So you ready to go?
Yeah. No, just to talk about that story, though, what I do remember is beginning of the season, I was hurt all summer, and I was dealing with a foot problem. And but I think the team was playing really well and sharing the ball and playing together. And I remember having a meeting between you and a couple of other teammates, I think other seniors. And I remember just wanting to try to add on to that because I felt like when I came back, everyone was like, okay, now we just need to get Ryan the ball or whatever, like, which I didn't want it to be because I think basketball is the best played when we're sharing and everyone's working together. And so when a moment like that arose, and to Coach McCormick's credit, also taught me how to take accountability for those things. Yeah. And how important it is for everyone to see that, because if I'm, you know, as you say, the best player on the team,
you can say it too.
But I need to be an example, because the best player on the team, that doesn't mean he can't do all the little things, and he can't be a good teammate, and he can't, you know, help and do all the little things that's going to require him to win. And because the kids on the end of the bench are going to see that and then try to emulate that in practice. And that's what I really wanted to make sure everyone knew.
Yeah. And getting back, I think I met with you in Coach McCormick's office when I had just taken the job. And that was one of the things I remember saying to you. I don't know, you definitely don't remember this, but I remember saying it. I was like, Ryan, there might be a time where I just go off on you. I just go off on you. And you just got to sit there and take it. No matter what I'm saying, you got to take it. Kind of like what you were saying, like, so everyone else sees, hey, this is the guy that's getting recruited by all these schools across the country, and he's allowing coach to go off on him. I guess that was the culmination of that moment, because I was going off on him and you did the right thing. So I know it's kind of like, that's a weird thing that I remember, the best thing that I remember, but that is, I thought that was a reflection of kind of who you were. But let's get into more about this. Like, I just want to talk to you about like how you were as a kid, like how your childhood was and how that kind of maybe affected you.
Yeah, so I grew up kind of a child of divorce, and saw the struggles my parents kind of went through and kind of how it ate over into their life and things like that. And so it kind of made me want to be as small as I could be and just really not be a burden on them or add anything extra onto their plate. So, that kind of carried over to athletics. I really just played just to have fun. I grew up, I lived right next to Meineke Gym, which I would walk over to, and I'd be there in the summer. I'd be there all hours of the day, or, if it was during school, I would be there, as soon as I got back home, and just be there till closing. And that's really all I needed, was just a ball and a hoop and, a place to put energy in that I could get better every day and strive to that. But that was kind of how I grew up. But yeah, and then I started getting attention from playing basketball, and in high school getting Division I offers from all over the country. And it was kind of surreal at that time, because I never really played with the intention to get offers. I was really just playing to have fun and to get better and see how I could be, how good I could be. But it ended up turning to that, and I was just
well, I know from my experience, it was cool at first, right? I'm sure I caught the tail end. I'm sure it started your junior year a little bit more, and I caught the end of it. But I remember like that first day being like, when you were on the phone for or when I was on the phone for like 4 hours, being like, oh, this is cool. But then like I could see
the next day.
But it was happening over and over. And even when you were going through it, like I was on the phone all the time. And I just know that it was hard for me. And I remember I would talk to you about it and be like, I think I always wanted you to go to either Vermont or Toledo.
Oh yeah.
That's where I always wanted you to go, because I was like, one of the things that I did was like, I wanted to play in the Big Ten, and really like I should have been thinking about what is the best fit. Like the only reason why I went to Northwestern, I might have told you this, only reason I ever went there, I was flying home from Penn State. I was on a visit at Penn State, flying home. About 2 days later, 9/11 happened. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go. First of all, I don't want to fly on a plane. Second of all, I want to stay close to home. And that's kind of why I went there. So I remember when you were going through it, I was kind of like, I just want this kid to go where like people know the type of player that he's going to be. Did you get that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, and I also, I had a lot of mid-major offers, and I was extremely grateful for that. And I was just blessed to be able to get that opportunity to, know that I was going to play in college and go to college for free.
Yeah.
But I did start to have more of those high major interests that wanted me to play out my senior year.
Yeah.
But like you said, I felt like, I took my official visits to those mid majors, and they can't wait forever.
Yeah.
And I'd rather go with some place where I felt like I genuinely enjoyed my visit there and learning the guys and getting to know all of them, but a place that I felt like I would fit more so.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I felt in Vermont.
Yeah. No, I mean, I said that to everyone who asked me. I'm like, if he plays out his senior year, he'll be able to go wherever he wants. I mean, and you would have, because of the type of senior year that you put up, but I just felt like, that was the best spot for you. Yeah. And I felt like you had the maturity enough to realize it. Like most kids, and even myself, I was like, I want to go to this, where I should have been thinking like how you thought of it at the time.
Yeah.
And you might have been getting flack from other people for that. I don't know. But I was always like, yeah, this is great. I think we joked around about it, though. I felt bad for the guy from Toledo, who's a great coach. He did really well. Yeah. And Coach Kowalczyk, I think is his name. But he was just, he was calling me nonstop. I know he was calling you. He was at every open gym. And
Yeah.
like, how hard was that to tell guys no?
Yeah, it was. I called every single person that even offered me to tell them that I wasn't going to go to their school, and that was extremely difficult because it wasn't because I was just trying to like shoo them away. It was because I was extremely grateful that I was given that opportunity, but I also at the same time I had privilege of choice. Really, I had 30 plus Division I offers, and obviously I can only go to one school, and I felt a lot of pressure to try to pick the best one I thought for myself. And with that many offers and talking with so many people and so many people, giving you their sales pitch almost.
Yeah, right.
But Todd Kowalczyk from Toledo, like you said, he was at every open gym, and just the amount that he showed interest in me, not only as a player, but also he would talk to me about a lot of things as a person.
Yeah.
And those are the things that really resonated me with then, and it was really hard to say no at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Vermont was all over you too. They were all over you, calling all the time. It's just they weren't close enough to always be there all the time.
Yeah.
But I felt like, it was between those two, and I think both of those schools. This is why I wanted you to go to one of those, is because I felt like they both understood how great you could be. Like I was saying, when you were going there, I'm like, this guy's going to be the conference player of the year. No doubt in my mind. I didn't know you were going to do it twice, but I knew you were going to at least do it once. And I know that requires a lot of hard work, but just kind of what I saw from you. And I think they believed in that too, from the very beginning, both of those schools. And I thought, that was pretty cool. But let's get back, as obviously we're talking mental health. Like when you were in high school, were you dealing with any like mental health issues at the time?
Yeah, my mindset really from, when I grew up, like I said, just kind of going through, or my parents going through the divorce, and, my siblings both are way older than me. My brother's 8 years older than me, and then my sister's 6 years older than me. So I kind of grew up like the second half, almost kind of like an only child. So again, that kind of just reinforced that wanting to be, small and within myself. And that carried on to high school, where I really didn't do much outside of basketball, and I would just kind of go to school, play, go back, and we practiced in the morning, so so I was pretty tired after school. There wasn't a lot I would really want to do.
Wait, by the way, though, you and Ben both said you wanted to do it again, so I was like, okay, we'll do it.
Well, Coach McCormick we did it 3 years in a row. I might as well finish the fourth.
Well, the good thing about it though is like, you did get to get it over with. Yeah. And like, let's say I was mad. I couldn't go long. Like we couldn't go longer.
It was a hard limit. Yeah. That and my senior year, I will say my senior year schedule was pretty historic. I had I think I had one of the last period gym with you. Yeah. And then I had lunch 6, and I had a free period 7. So I was out at like noon. I was
back playing video games. And,
yeah.
Yeah. So like you were kind of like a person who wanted to be, we were joking around this beforehand. I remember I asked Ryan once, I was like, Ryan, you got a girlfriend or anything? And Ryan goes, Coach, my girlfriend is basketball. And that was like how I was as a kid. Like, I know we were talking about Coach McCormick had your best interest in heart. And I think he knew, we were very similar, but I don't think we knew how similar. When I heard, some of your struggles, I was like, damn it. Like, I wish that I would have been more open at the time. It was a year after you left when I finally started, talking about my struggles. And I was like, God, I wish I would have, because I think it would have been helpful for you to see someone like your coach be like, hey, I dealt with this, and this. I think you would have related to that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned to you, but I think, for me, my personal journey, I try not to look back on anything with any regrets. And I think, carrying that mindset to college, regardless of that, and you've done a phenomenal job with, building this podcast and your platform and going and speaking to schools with just the importance that is to share is just huge. And, but yeah, like I think for my journey, going to college without that, made me kind of realize, and it's where a lot of people realize those kind of things and being by yourself for the first time. But, that was just kind of the path I took. And I was grateful because Vermont, part of the reason why I decided to go there was that they had a sports psych person, Ari Miller, who
that was what you knew that going in.
Yeah, and out of all the offers I had and all the visits I took, they were, I think, the only one or one of the only ones that had an actual sports psych as a part of the staff.
Yeah.
And so knowing that was also what made Vermont stand out to me, along with visiting there and getting along with all the guys. But
that is awesome, because I think that kind of shows, I played 15 years before you did. And like, we didn't have anything. So it was just like, oh, whatever.
Good luck.
And I had a guy on the podcast the other day, his brother was on the podcast, and this guy was a great baseball player and went to U of I, got drafted by the Yankees, and unfortunately took his own life. But he was 6 years older than me, and like, he didn't have anything. So when I texted his brother, like, about when you said, like, yeah, Vermont was huge because they had these people in place, I was like, at least that's a good step in the right direction, because I would have loved to have that, and I know Rob Fisher would have loved to have that. So I thought it was cool that you had that, and I thought it was cool that you had the foresight to think about that too. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that. Growing up, I was, I don't know, would you say different? But I was alone a lot, you know, and so I knew that just having that, just there, maybe wasn't gonna go out and talk to him, you know, freshman year or whatever, but some things did happen, as they do in college, and things happen, and then we start talking, and that's where just having that resource available if it's needed, because.
So, like, what was going on at that time? Like, your freshman year, I remember you were injured a little bit, and like, what ended up happening at that time?
Yeah, so I ended up, again, just going to the gym. I would shoot 1,000, 1,500 shots a day, because I just, I had a lot of social anxiety. Didn't really want to go out or do any of the partying college scene. Yeah. So I really just worked out, but I worked myself too much, and I gave myself plantar fasciitis in both feet. So. Tried to play through it as much as I can, but there's days where after practice where I just couldn't walk, one, dealing with like a college schedule now where the practices are way more physical, way more intense than high school, and going against guys that are all like and at that level. And it just kind of wore me down to that sense. So I was dealing with basketball not being just automatic. You can go out and you can dominate or play really well. And that really, I took a hit with my confidence mentally, because I didn't have that avenue anymore. And now with the injury, I wasn't able to even play. So I had to try to figure out who I was without basketball.
And I think that happens a lot of times when guys are injured, is they're just, I've seen this happen where they kind of get like forgotten, like not forgotten, but you know what I mean?
You're on
like,
the sideline. Yeah. Everyone else is practicing over there. You're on the sideline.
Yeah, it's like It's very like weird.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen even at the high school level. But I remember in college when guys were hurt for a long time, it was like out of sight, out of mind almost.
Yeah.
And so then what ended up happening? Like, I know you said it got pretty bad at points.
Yeah, that was probably one of the darkest parts of my life, because I was away from family and friends, and basketball, the outlet that I had, wasn't working for me. So I did contemplate taking my own life after kind of towards the end of the season, when I was dealing with that injury, just because I didn't have any. I felt alone. I felt by myself. I wasn't really outgoing to the point where I was talking to my teammates yet, or even trying to reach out to Ari. And
so like, you were at the point, like, were you, like, would you say this was like a depression, like that, like going on, and like, did you ever get like diagnosed with that?
No, I never got diagnosed with that. Ended up.
Did you tell anyone?
Yeah. So okay. I told my brother on a phone call. I don't know if I mentioned how bad it was. Yeah. But I just mentioned that I was struggling really bad, and just being able to share that with him, and then just someone, just one person.
Yeah, right.
It kind of started me and gave me more confidence in myself, not knowing that I just had someone knew, someone knew that I was struggling.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes that's what it's like. Even like when I would just like, even talking to you right now, when I like talk to you and talk to you about this different thing, it's just like a sense of relief almost, like telling somebody something, like, because I had those similar thoughts, and I ended up being hospitalized for it, and but it was the best thing I ever did was tell my wife and tell my dad, because they were like, hey, we got to jump on top of this. So you told your brother, and then like kind of what happened after that? Like,
yeah, so then I just ended up kind of just grinding through the season, and I ended up I had to take a month or 2 months off because of my feet, because they got to the point where I really couldn't play. But my coaches felt that I was still able to help the team. So I decided not to redshirt, even though I had the opportunity to, because it wasn't that far in the season. But came back and tried my best to help the team as much as I could. But I remember just hating I didn't really want to play basketball at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember we made it. We actually won the conference championship, and we went to play in the tournament. And I just remember after the tournament, I maybe played a minute.
Yeah, right.
I think I got spun and maybe dunked on by an NBA player.
I remember that. Wait, who'd you play? Kansas?
No, first was Florida State, I think.
Okay,
I think it was Kembe Mutombo's nephew. He made a great move.
Yeah.
But I remember after that game just feeling relieved that it was over.
Yeah.
And just that I can kind of rest a little bit and reset before my sophomore season.
So, like, was that what you needed, kind of, was like for it to be over and just kind of regroup? Like, did that really, I mean, how long were you having those like dark thoughts? Like, was it something that it got pushed out?
I would say, yeah, I mean, really my injury, and so probably the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, summer session went great. It was difficult, but I was healthy and I was playing well.
Yeah.
And but as soon as the season started, my feet started to go. That's kind of when everything kind of
Yeah.
So it kind of continued out to the end of the season, and then at the end of the season, I mean, just because I didn't play basketball, I could kind of play video games.
Yeah, right. There you go. So that's kind of like, I always talk like self-care type stuff. Yeah. Is that something that like helps you relax?
Yeah. Video games, even with friends or just by myself, or a show or a movie.
Yeah.
Just anywhere that I can just kind of get lost into, kind of a universe or thing like that, where it's kind of gives me that little separation between,
Yeah. Well, when did you meet your girlfriend? Was that around that time, or was that after?
So I met my girlfriend. And we were actually in the same major. She ended up finishing. I didn't.
Yeah.
Transfer to an easier one.
Yeah, right. There you go.
But we didn't start. So we were friends for the first 2 years and started dating my junior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to her about any of that stuff?
Yeah, she knows everything pretty much.
Like at what point?
I would say I really didn't open up to her and really start talking about all this. I think she knew, like, I think I mentioned it here and there, but really like getting deep into it, not until I played professionally.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what was like the turnaround? I know you said there were some people there that like really helped you. Like, when was that, your sophomore year, or was that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were always around. I think sophomore year is where I really started to take advantage of it, though. And being around, and obviously everyone had to learn who I was too, and I had to learn them. But Ari helped me. It's just being able to talk to me, encourage me to go to therapy and work on myself, but also give me the confidence to play better, because he'd give me little things to do, like writing down affirmations of what I was as a player, and things that I was good at, because I struggled really. At that point, I was like, I didn't feel like I was good at anything compared to, the guys on my team or the guys we're playing, going against Kansas and things like that. And he helped me with that. But he also, I think one of the biggest things that he helped me kind of add to my mental tool bag, to use an expression there, was journaling.
Yeah.
That's something that's really changed my life. And he just said, start with just anything you can put down, just kind of stream of consciousness, whatever comes to your mind, it'll kind of turn into what it's meant to be. And that's something that I still use to this day, just to express my thoughts and feelings that I don't feel like I can feel confident enough to really express outside.
By the way, I like to think that I'm a decent writer, but I was very impressed with your writing. But like, you probably have gotten a lot of practice, right? Like, you've been doing that for a long time. But I just thought, I've always known just from talking to you that you're a thinker and you're very thoughtful and you're careful with your words. But I was like really impressed. Whoever your English teachers were, or like maybe it was English teachers, and then in college, like, I was just really impressed with how well you were able to kind of like articulate, stuff that was going on. But, if you're doing it every day, I'm sure that helps.
Yeah. And I mean, grammatically, I get help.
Yeah, right. That's all right.
But I'm good
but
at
the thoughts are.
I'm good at writing now. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of just writing whatever and letting it free flow to kind of the whatever I'm working through. So it feels honest to me when I write it down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a big thing for you, what he kind of taught you, and something that you still do to this day. I know that was around your sophomore year when you started doing that.
Yeah, I would say sophomore year. Yeah.
Okay. So I know you ended up being, like, I know you won't want to say it, but like the sixth man of the year.
No, we can say that one.
Yeah,
I like that one. I like that one.
Sixth man of the year. I remember watching that, and I was like, all right, it's only a matter of time before my prediction comes true that you were going to be the player of the year in the conference. But then junior year, I think, was the COVID, right?
Yeah, was COVID. And
now, how was that for you?
So it was...
Because I hated it, but that was as a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy time to go to school and play collegiate sports. But honestly, for me, someone that didn't really like attention and things like that, not having people in the stands.
Yeah, it must have been awesome.
Yeah, it felt like I was just playing pickup again. Or,
right.
A little bit more organized pickup. Obviously, we had game plans and scouts.
But I don't remember like pressure or fans ever getting to you. Did it? Like, I don't like in high school it didn't. I know that, but maybe that was because you could just dominate.
Yeah, in high school I felt pretty confident.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, but in college, especially after that freshman year, I mean, I had probably one of the worst first games, or my second game. Yeah. But I remember my athletic trainer, Eugene Santos, who we had like this makeshift where he had basically he had one of those elastic training bands, and he taped it to the bottom of my foot, and then he pulled it to like where my Achilles would be, or high ankle, and that was kind of acting as my foot there to give me more strength. But I remember I airballed like 4 threes against Kansas in front of 30,000 people.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But
again, I was like, all right, it's only a matter of time before.
Right. And those experiences, taught me like I had so much anxiety before that game, performance anxiety between just trying to, accomplish the scout, what we worked on in practice all week and preparation. But then not only that, but then also just playing in front of that many people for the first time. And what really, working with, journaling, figuring out my own, but then also with Ari is that if I could airball 5 in a row, and be so anxious about playing in front of those people, then I've already had the worst thing happen to me. So right. It's 30,000 people chanting airball after you chant. It's like not going to get much worse than that in the sporting event.
I got a funny story about that. So you talk about how you don't like public speaking. Yeah. Did I ever tell you this? How I learned how to public speak?
I don't think so.
Okay, so talk about the worst thing happening. I'm at Holy Cross, and I'm like so nervous. Just so nervous. I have to do a debate with this girl sitting next to me. And I happen to be wearing, do you remember like the tearaway pants?
Yeah.
Okay, so no. I'm wearing those pants, and like that day I was low on laundry, so I just had underwear on. And I'm like, there was this priest, his name was Father La Pramarda, I also remember it, and he was like, oh, Mr. Maley, it's your turn to go. And I was like so nervous. I got up to stand up, and as I stood up, my pants dropped to the floor, and I'm standing there in my underwear. However, I swear to God, from that moment on, it was like, wow, that was pretty bad. Yeah. And like, I was able to public speak after that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like what you're saying. Like, you had a rough game.
Yeah.
how much worse could it get?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that would be the worst game.
Yes,
for me.
yes,
I would hate that more than anything.
It was, well, the worst part about it is like, then the priest was even chuckling, and he was like, "All right, lady, miss, you can go first." And as like, because it's debate, so
Yeah.
I have to listen to what she's saying. I'm sitting there buttoning my pants back up as like,
Because it's like 13
yes,
buttons
it
too.
takes
It's not just
forever.
one.
It takes forever. But yeah, it ended up working out.
Yeah.
So you know, that's what I always say
Everything's
to
a blessing.
kids is like, sometimes like the worst moments in your
Yeah.
life end up being some of the best things.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing in today, like a big kind of thing I always remind myself is that, you know, I try not to divide things into good and bad, because you can never really tell in the present moment, you know, unless you zoom out.
Yeah.
Because like that story, you know, obviously in the moment you were like,
Yeah.
this is the worst thing it could
it's
ever.
horrible.
But zoom out now you're looking
Yeah.
at it now.
But I was laughing at because like all these kids were laughing, and
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that was kind of funny. So,
Yeah.
so it ended up just like being like, I still did terrible on that one, but after that, it was good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So all right, so that was like your senior year. You went through the COVID year. How was it going to school during that? Did you actually go into class ever, or was it all online?
No, I think for the most part, unless I had a lab or something, it was all online.
Yeah.
Which was, I love that too, because I mean, a lot of the times we were on the road. So a lot of the times, if like the previous season, I couldn't go to class because we were on the road. So being able to attend class when we're on the road and be fine.
Yeah.
That was good, I thought. I mean, the only thing, outside the, you know, with the world and obviously not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
The worst we really had was, getting those the really medical ones where they tested every week, just all the way to touch your brain.
Yes, yeah. That was brutal.
Yeah.
So at that time too, I saw that you like kind of had eliminated social media from your life.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best things I did at the time. Just because I wanted to really just focus on, you know, being where my feet are.
Yeah, I love that quote. Somebody said that. I forget when they said it. I was like, I really like that.
Yeah,
quote.
That's just something that really just, you know, I just try to stay present and, you know, have, you know, gratitude for where I'm at, wherever that moment is.
Yeah,
and that's really where I learned that and tried to apply that with, you know, playing and just be there with my teammates and be in that moment. So yeah.
Now, was that when your girlfriend came into play?
We started. Kind of about, I would say, that summer before. So
summer before your junior year?
Yeah, summer right before my junior year. And
so then, was she helpful? I know some people say like athletes like, oh, stay away from girls, like, but that's if you get the wrong one. If you get the right one, like my wife, I was fortunate I had the right one at 17 years old. Mm-hmm. And like, she's been amazing through like all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, do you feel like she was helpful for you? Yeah.
And I think just having someone that's a constant kind of pillar of support, just being around me. I think for me at that time, I wasn't able to talk about this stuff or that I was struggling with. And I was doing better at that time. Obviously, I was playing better. So things kind of started to turn around for me that standpoint. But just knowing that, you know, like my brother, if I really needed to or really wanted to, I could rely on her or rely on, you know, my parents or anyone who I could just call.
Right.
You know, if it gave me more of the confidence that I had a bigger support system, knowing that, you know, I talked to my brother that early on. Yeah.
Oh, that's all. This is going to get you some brownie points with your girlfriend. If she listens, I'm sure. Will she listen to this?
Yeah.
Yes. So then you won the conference player of the year, but it was cut short, right? You didn't end up.
Yeah.
You guys would have probably played in the tournament, right? Like.
Yeah. So my junior year, so during COVID, we actually lost. So we.
Or did you lose in the final?
We lost in the semis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, was it
weird.
Just UMB?
No, it was at that time was to Hartford.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But we ended up losing to Hartford. It was weird because we had a bye. Not put any excuses, but it was weird because they were playing. So we had the 1 seed and they were playing the whole time.
Yeah.
So they had games and they won, and they were playing us and they played the previous week. But at that time we had a COVID test positive, I think. So we didn't play for a month.
Yeah.
Prior to that game.
That was so weird how they did that.
That was really weird, but I don't want to diminish them. Credit to them.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
they beat us.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, it was just weird. That whole on and off with that whole year was kind of strange.
Yeah. Well, then, so senior year, what I loved about, I know you were hurt a little bit. And we can talk about it a little bit, but what I loved is how, like, that last game, who'd you play? Arkansas?
Yeah.
First of all, actually, you know what I wanted to ask? So you've had these people like Gino, Ari.
Yeah.
How are the coaches
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, like, did they leave all the mental health stuff to those guys, or did you feel like you could talk to the coaches?
I think they all kind of worked in tandem. You know, I think that they all kind of had their own job, and I think, you know, my head coach John Becker was more tough on us, but I think that was a coaching style I was used to. You know, coaching McCormick. Not so much you. But
you know what I'm mad about John Becker for?
What's that?
He took my beloved Holy Cross coach. And she's
yes.
I saw him play Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
Yes.
Like, they gave Caitlin Clark the biggest trouble. Like, their defense was so good. And is it his wife now?
Yes. Yeah.
I was like super impressed. And then, like, she decided to give it up. And now is she living in Vermont?
Yeah, she lives in Vermont. Yeah.
Oh God, they killed me. Wait, go ahead. Go talk.
Yeah.
Sorry, Coach Becker, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, but him and the coaching staff, I mean, you know, Coach Ryan Schneider also, I mean, he was my positions coach.
Yeah, he's really the guy I talk to a lot.
Yeah, he really helped me, and also just, you know, learned who I was as a player, and they all did, you know, but they each had their own kind of roles to play, and I think, you know, also realizing what I was and showing in practice, and, you know, hearing from teammates, they were always asking questions, so they knew, you know, kind of who we were, what we were dealing with, and they pushed me to talk to Ari more and to use those resources that I had around me. So, and along with that, you know, Gino helping me with my injuries. I had a bunch of nagging injuries. I really didn't have like one. I didn't tear my ACL or do anything like that, but I had a bunch of nagging injuries, so I was always in the training room, and Gino just helped me out tremendously with all that and keeping me positive. And Mark, our strength conditioning coach, who was just a positive, you know, knew that balance of pushing us, but then also just being a, you know, positive force. And
sometimes you need like different guys to do different things. Like Coach Becker has to kind of be like the guy, like the disciplinarian, and the hard guy, and but like as you get older, you kind of realize, like, I had a high school coach who was kind of, and I've told him he was kind of like a maniac, but like now I look back at it fondly, where at the time I didn't necessarily like it, but now I look back at it and I was like, that guy made us good. Like, he made us good, like, with how he did that.
Yeah.
So you kind of had that going, like, different guys, like your strength coach, Mark, was kind of like the balance, you're saying?
Yeah, he was a great balance. He just being able to go there, because it was after practice, you know, so we were all tired.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember specifically talking to him. I was like, I would ask him all the questions, so I probably annoyed him with them. But I remember he was just like, saying, he's like, you guys probably, you know, work out too much, so we're trying to find the balance of, you know, pushing you guys so you guys are getting stronger, but not killing you guys. And just having and or it was like Derek O'Gray, who started out as a manager, you know, worked his way to director of basketball operations when I was there, I think my senior year, and now he's an assistant coach. But he was just like the epitome of just a positive attitude, coming in every day, just being happy to be there, happy to work, you know. And
that's contagious. Like,
and having those guys around, that's what, you know, kept me, you know, at the darkest times my freshman year, you know, helped me propel that, and seeing all those guys and like how those guys positive every single day, you know. And it's because they've been there, you know, they've done that and before, and my teammates have done that before, and just seeing that gave me that confidence to keep pushing.
Now, I've heard you say something about, or I've seen some of your posts, and you talked about gratitude, and I think you're kind of doing that right there. I have felt like since I started like showing more gratitude to people, whether it be like a quick email, whether it be a note that I write to someone, a phone call, like, I feel like that showing gratitude helps me.
Yeah.
Do you kind of get that too? Like
Yeah.
talking and, letting people know how much they help you?
Yeah, and I think it's always, because I think it stems from kind of knowing that all our experiences, good or bad, kind of shape who we are. And
Yeah.
while we might not realize that in the moment, someone, maybe coach said, got hard on you, like, for example, like, to bring it back to when you got on me, like, I
Yeah.
could have taken that easily and been like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, right. But then even in that moment, trying to look at it like, oh, he's doing this because he cares.
Right.
He cares about me, but he also cares about the team. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to let anything slip. So just kind of zooming out from that perspective and knowing that there's almost like a greater purpose or a greater reason why anything is happening to you, for me, that kind of helps in expressing gratitude for each and every moment that happens to everyone. It's huge.
I mean, it's awesome. And I think what I like is how I was going to save this for later, but you've kind of, seems like you've figured some things out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like I figured some things out, but it took me 10 years longer than you. And I think that's cool. I think, like I said, I've thought we were very similar, but I didn't realize how similar we were. And I'm just glad, like, it's kind of cool sitting here talking to you and hearing you, like, express yourself. I'm just like, and I don't mean to, like, my son calls it glazing. Is the word. I don't mean to glaze you. And I kind of been glazing a lot in this, but, like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just, like, proud to see, like, you talk like this and like that you're willing to share these things to help other, that you're willing to show gratitude towards people. I think it's going to benefit you tremendously, but obviously it's going to benefit others as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, proud of you too, though.
Yeah, I will. All right. So senior year, you were again the conference player of the year. But I just loved how you went out that last game against Arkansas. How many points did you have in the first half?
In the first half, I think I hit a 3 or 2. I think I might have hit 2 threes.
Okay.
So I think I had 6.
But you had a ton with like a lot of time left, I remember. Like you guys.
Yeah, I had, I think I went on a decent run by myself in the second half.
I just remember being like, oh my God. Like, how many did you end up with?
20.
Yeah, against like a really good team. I think the guy who was going against you was like an NBA guy.
Yeah, he's on the OKC Thunder.
Yeah. It's
he's a champion.
Oh yeah, it's
Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
They have 2 Jalen Williams.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were I just thought that, I mean, obviously you guys lost, but I was like, this is a good way to go out. I actually thought, I don't mean to be mad at the coaches, but like I thought, wow, he's got to get the ball more late in the game.
Well, I think our problem was we couldn't get stops at that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think I watched back the film.
Yeah.
And I think, I did my work. I went on that run to get a little bit into basketball here, but I went on a run and I did my job. I made the defense start to shift towards me. And then it created opportunities for my teammates, which they took a lot of advantage.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. I was sitting there, and obviously, like, I want you guys to win, but also I'm like, oh, give Ryan. I want Ryan getting the ball. All right, so that you could have come back, right? Like you with the COVID year, but you decided you were going to go play professionally, and
at that point in my career, I just felt like I felt like that was kind of the culmination of a lot of things, and I felt like I gave everything I had to the game of basketball at that moment. I kind of felt deep down after that game that I was kind of done. Yeah, I was looking for.
But you almost had to go play because
I felt like I owed it to myself to try out professional basketball. Maybe at that level, I'll find a different kind of joy in the game. Not going to class, maybe. But I felt like I think I felt deep down at the end of that game that there's something more that I want to do.
Right. But you gave it a shot. Like you went. Where did you go play again? Like what?
So I ended up playing in the B Next League in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So I ended up playing there for about, I want to say I was there for only like 6 months. So I didn't finish the season. I struggled with the coaching staff there, getting along with them and the GMs, and they were kind of.
Did they speak English?
Yes, they spoke English.
Okay.
So yeah, they spoke English fluently, which was great. one of the reasons why we went to the Netherlands there. And I love living in the Netherlands. And it was a great experience, but just playing for that kind of coach where, we practice two-a-days, and that's not abnormal for a professional team, but, I was being made to do extra stuff outside of that. As an American, you're expected to do more.
Yeah.
Because they only get a certain amount of them.
Right.
And
what is it, like two?
Two or
American?
three. It depends
Okay.
on the league, but I think 2 or 3. And so I was expected to do a lot, and I was constantly doing extra work, cardio, wherever. But I was just constantly getting hurt to the amount that I started really hating playing basketball, because I felt like in college I was playing for my team, I was playing for the guys around me, and that really helped me play harder because I had those guys. We ate together, and we lived in the same house, and we did everything together. So it felt like I kind of had a second family in that regard. And playing professionally, it was again just back to myself. It was just me playing for money.
Yeah, right.
And so that's where I really grew.
You don't have to tell me yet, but were you making a decent amount at that time?
Do you want to know the number?
No, you don't. Well, I mean, was it pretty solid?
Yeah, it was a decent amount. And the thing about playing professional overseas is that they hook you up with apartment.
Yeah.
And so you're not paying for any of that. You're just paying for
And you don't
food.
get the tax? Do you not get taxed?
Yeah, you can bring whatever
it
is back.
Yeah. No, but I get what you mean. Like, just playing for the money. Like, you're not like a superficial guy. Like, you're not.
Yeah.
That's not what you're about. At least I've not seen that from you.
Yeah.
And so then I think did you go somewhere else after there?
No, I just ended up just telling my agent I needed to get out of there, just because I saw how.
And was your girlfriend there at the time?
Yeah, my girlfriend was living with me for about 3 months there, because that's how long the visa lasts. But I started to realize just like how I wasn't being the person I wanted to be to her in our relationship. I wasn't being, kind enough or things like that. Or I felt so exhausted with playing basketball and showing up for that, other avenues of and relationships in my life, I started to dwindle a little bit. And that's what I kind of grew to hate about that. And then, so
like you were almost like putting an extra burden on her by like she was doing a lot more than she should have and stuff. Yeah.
And just not being my best overall self, because I was so exhausted with playing. Yeah. And so started to realize that, and I came back and got out of that situation. And
now, when did you okay, so sorry. But when did you come? We met for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if that was after that or before, but you started talking and you started saying stuff about mental health, but you didn't I think you had maybe heard that I was speaking about it, and you had known what happened with me. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you came and you were talking about it, but you were kind of not really getting full details.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving there and being like, oh man, I wonder how deep, it was almost like I thought you were testing the waters in a sense to be like, hey, I kind of want to talk about this, but that's kind of when I started to have an inkling.
Well, I remember we talked over the phone actually when I was in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
And I remember we kind of talked about, and I think you've said it on this podcast here, but just some days, when I was practicing over there, I was like, I hope I go out and I tear my ACL.
Yeah. I had that for sure.
Yeah, and I hope I would be out the whole year.
Yeah.
And
so you so I mean, you were probably dealing with depression again. If you look, yes, for sure. Yeah, and I've said that before. I had that. I would even have times later on where I was I'd go to the doctor and be like, oh man, I hope I get cancer. So then then it'll justify me feeling
it's not me
that
taking myself out.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? It's just a strange thing, but I think that definitely is. It's irrational. Yeah. Obviously, if you're in your right mind, you're not hoping you tear both of your ACLs.
Yeah.
But I kind of I had more of a sense, but I'm glad you're kind of telling the whole thing to me, because it's, I don't know. I think I could be just because I'm older and have gone through it. Like I said, though, I think you kind of are getting it now, like, which is cool. Like, I think it's kind of a sign of the changing times that you got things a little earlier. But I'm sorry, I cut you off though. I'm sorry. What were you talking?
Oh no, it's okay.
You were coming back to the States, right?
Oh yeah. So then when we met for breakfast,
Yeah.
I think I did hear that you started to talk about these kind of things, and or I knew that you stepped away because and that I forget how we kind of we started with reaching out overseas and then getting together, and I don't remember the conversation as much, but I do remember at that time it was kind of between, for me, picking, okay, I can either kind of go this way and kind of give like that, or just continue playing, kind of put it down like what I did before, because I felt like that's what I knew best. I knew how to play basketball more than I knew anything, and eventually I actually signed a contract to play.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, you signed to play somewhere else. Okay.
I signed a contract to play in Canada, but I remember just like a couple days before, like I would actually have to leave, I just had just terrible anxiety. I just did not want to go play. I had no desire to really play anymore.
Yeah.
And so when I figured that out, and it took me actually signing a contract, what I feel bad for, but I ended up reaching out to the coach and my agent and telling him that, hey, I don't think I have this in me to play anymore. And had to be honest with that. But then that's when I started to kind of dive more into okay, now I got something to figure out though, and what I want to do and everything like that.
So like you could have kept playing. Like, do you have now like any regrets? Are you glad at the decision that you made?
I think it's, I think I mentioned earlier, like I try not to look back with any regrets, because I think all of it is required to be who I am today, and I think I'm proud who I am today, and I try to be better, and obviously I make mistakes, and I mess up, but I just try to be better. And I think the only thing no, I would say I probably don't regret it. It just is what it is,
And I'm glad you said that, because it's kind of like, for me, like I look back at like my playing career and I stopped as it was like just getting going. And I look back and I'm like, well, it would have been nice if we had like the mental health supports. Like it could have been different in that way. But like now with what I'm doing, I'm kind of glad things turned out this way, because I'm kind of using it to try to like do something good.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm glad that I had that experience to draw on.
Yeah.
I just think with like and again, this is the glazing, but I think with how articulate you are, I just think that you have the power to use your ability to talk about these different things to do the same thing, and it could go along with what you're doing. And we're going to get into what you're doing, but I just think I think you can use that as a way to, again, help others, but I think it could also help you grow too.
Yeah. And I think, I try to do that in what I do now in my coaching and my training.
Yeah. Talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing.
So when I came back, I started coaching and training. I actually, got inspiration from my former teammate at UVM, Ernie Duncan, who does a great job with Duncan Hoops over at Vermont.
Oh, there you go.
A little shout out, a little shout at him. But he kind of, I saw how well he was doing and the impact he was making on players, because he was, someone that was close to me. He was way older than me, but kind of like a brother figure in that sense, because my brother was way older than me too. But he's someone that started that. And so then I came back and started training and coaching, and I had my friend and mentor, Rob Hudson, who I've known forever. He runs Big 3 basketball and really empowered me to start coaching for him, and kind of helped teaching me use my experience to help others. And along with that, giving me like gym space to like train kids. And so I really try to implement, along with trying to make them the best basketball players that they can be, giving them the tools to be able to handle all the things that come with sports, performance anxiety and all those things, and expectations of parents and all that stuff. And I try to help in my way a little bit with that, with my coaching and training.
Yeah. I think that is like, if you can, especially with, I mean, you've probably seen it coaching youth sports. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like, something with like
It's
just like
insane.
the intensity of like how much they're doing at an early age, and then also like parents, and it's just like, it's insane.
And I think part of the catalyst, I mean, it's always been crazy, but
Yeah.
I think part of the catalyst now is that NIL, the kid in college, now these kids just need to be the best high school player and they can make millions in college, which is insane. You know, you don't even have, it's not even NBA, you know.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and I think that just adds another layer to it.
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, I think it's definitely cool what you're doing. I think if, you know, you can, you know, obviously you have the basketball knowledge, you have the ability to train people in that sense. But like, if you could incorporate that other stuff, like, I just think that could set, because no one is incorporating, at least that I know of, like the, you know, performance anxiety and mental health aspect. I think if you could somehow find a way to combine those two things, or just talk about it.
Yeah.
Just I mean, you're just like a big guy.
Yeah.
And if your big guy is out there maybe telling parents like, hey, let's like ease up a little bit. I know that's sometimes hard to do probably.
Yeah.
But I think that would be really helpful to, you know, kids and their parents.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I try to do that. I'm trying to get better on being able to express myself to kids, because you got to break it down. You know, I really try to talk about with my 6th grade and up, 7th grade and up. I feel like when they start really, but then also like with the little kids, you can kind of just nudge them a little bit in the right direction when, like, you know, for example, like they get a big thing in my training and coaching is so many like young kids get so frustrated, because I do try to challenge them and put them through tough workouts, but you know, I've had kids sometimes like cry because they can't do things. And I think the biggest thing for me with my kids is letting them know from a young age that it's okay to fail, you know, and pushing themselves. You know, they can only control a couple things, you know, their effort and their attitude. And I think that if they can just constantly put the best effort, no matter if they're going to fail 1,000 times, you know, I mean, they're going to be better because of that. And so that's something I really try to get across in my coaching and teaching, or not teaching, rather my training. But yeah, the public speaking, I don't know. I couldn't live. I don't know if I would constantly replay that. Well, I don't know if I would wear tearaway shorts in the first place, but I don't know.
That would be going through your head.
Yeah, certainly not now that I've heard.
See, but the thing about it is, like, I'm telling you, like, I could not do it either. But like, I don't know. I just feel like you think well and you speak well.
I like my writing.
Your writing. I mean, I don't know if you want to like start a blog or something, but like, I feel like you could use that, because I just feel like you put all this in a pretty good perspective, both the basketball side and the mental health side. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned with you, I mean, really what you're doing with your platform and sharing your story and talking to the people that you're talking to, really has given me, like, I would only really want to share this in this way, like with you, like on social media and things like that. I've toyed with the idea of writing a book or doing something like that, but with my journals that I wrote with when I was playing, but I don't know. We'll see if it ever comes.
I'm telling you, I think it could be really, really, and I think like you said, you're seeing it with like the youth basketball landscape. I think people listen to someone like you who has accomplished a lot, like, and maybe you aren't comfortable necessarily speaking about it, but like if you wrote a book and like outlined like, hey, this is my journey, and there was a mental health component, there's also this, you know, having a parents being like, I just think it could be really impactful. So like, I wouldn't necessarily say like, that's gonna take too long or that's too hard. Like, you're young, you could. You can
I would love to. I just I don't know what it takes to write a book. But that's just like that for me. That's like kind of the format I feel most comfortable in. You know, one-on-one, you know, talking with you, I feel comfortable, but in sharing kind of that whole thing, I think I like my writing, and I think I express myself.
I think it, like I said, we'll see. I sent it out. We'll see where we could. I think people would appreciate that.
I hope so.
You know, I know from me, and like you were way better basketball player than I ever was, but like even my story of being like, okay, like people, it resonates with people, and you know, you were obviously like a stud. Like I think it could carry even more weight, and you have the whole connection out on the East Coast too. I think where, you know, it could reach from Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates to Vermont, like I was saying before. But all right, I just want to give you a chance to plug what you're doing now. Like where can people find you? I know you don't like the social media stuff that much, but
RD3training.com, my website. That's just what I do to train and coach, or I guess support Big Three basketball. I coach there, so that's pretty.
And what's the Instagram that you have?
RD3 Training.
Okay, RD3 Training.
Yeah.
All right, so I think, you know, you might have to keep doing some of that. I know you don't like to, but I think, and I know you don't like attention, and I know it seems weird because I'm doing all this stuff now, but I don't really like attention either, but I see like the impact that it could have. And I would just encourage you that, you know, as much as you don't like the attention, I think it could be helpful if people knew more your story and your situation.
Yeah, and that's, you know, really, I mean, credit, I think, the inspiration a lot to you, and you know, being able to share just because, and the conversation has been continuing, you know, and you know, like you said, talk about the trends from when you were playing to when I was playing to now, and now we have, you know, NBA players talking about it constantly, and or all professional sports, you know, talking about it, and I think that's just a huge change. And I think the more and more we talk about and get people aware of it, the more and more people that'll help, you know. Yeah. And just having those resources that I had that I was so grateful for. Oh,
I wanted to give you an opportunity if you want to shout out your parents at all. Is there anything that you want to say to your parents?
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, for my parents, you know, it taught me at a young age, like everyone's just trying their best with what they have. And, you know, for me, it's like, I can't judge anyone's actions of the darkest times, you know, and it's like, you know, we're all trying to be better and we're all trying to learn from our mistakes. But like, for me, it was like learning that my parents aren't perfect people. Yeah. That everyone's not, I'm not a perfect person, you know, no one's a perfect person, and understanding that, you know, I would be just likely like someone else if I was given their situation and their circumstances. I was born into that. So just gave me that kind of compassion, empathy at a young age. But I mean, my mom's great, my dad's great now, and they support me, and they're really grateful for what I'm doing. So
yeah, and I know as a coach, like I always appreciate them because it was just like, now I actually will interact with your mom sometimes. We interact sometimes, but now it was when I was coaching, it was just like, hey coach, how's it going? Yeah. Like there was not, and I'm sure I did some things they didn't like, but there was never like the overbearing and like that whole thing, which I appreciated. And I know your mom has been messaging me like about what I'm doing, and I think she knows your situation. Like I think she's really proud of like you doing this. So I think that's pretty cool. Well, I guess we'll end there. I just wanted to, again, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. You feel better? Yeah, I do. Or just good? Like, isn't it? It's weird. It's like two monsters in a small room talking about this, but it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good to see like what you have grown to be. It's just really cool to see as like a former coach, and you can still call me coach, or you can call me Jim now.
I was going to say, I've called you coach ever since.
Yeah. You could call me Jim if you want. Okay. I'd actually prefer. Well,
you prefer?
I prefer Jim. I could deal with coach. Okay. I hate Mister. I can't deal with Mister.
Whatever your preference is, I'll buy you that.
But yeah, no, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
I think, you know, as I always say on this podcast, we share our story to, you know, help others, but then I think you end up helping yourself as well, because that's the Maley way. Thank you. Yeah. Nice. That's good. Yes.